if you know, even if he did have the balding head, he probably thinks that it's better to have a bald head. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, right now on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube for people to be coming in as always, and we have such a good time because the Pancakes and Power Slam show are the best fans in the world. Haven't I said that before? I have, and I mean every single bit of it. As I'm trying to, there we go, trying to make some adjustments here to have optimal interaction here to be able to interact with the fans. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to be fired away in the Pancakes and Power Slam show tonight, as Booker T would say, tonight, which is a good question. Actually, that's a pretty good question to pose to the live audience right now. And for those listening, tweet at Chris Prolific. That's my personal Twitter. Tweet at Crave Wrestling if you're listening to this archived or live, no matter when. That's the question for all the listeners right now. Who in your mind is a better color analyst, just a better play-by-play person? Do you prefer Booker T or do you prefer Renee Young? What's your choice? Which is your choice, Booker T or Renee Young? If you had one choice to pick between the two, Booker T or Renee Young, which one would you pick? So interested to see the the results on that. Booker T or Renee Young. Well, looks like we are getting some answers here now. What's going on, Lexi? What's going on? Simply Deep Wild Boy. Okay, so people are saying, oh, well, X, neither is counting. Option C is not an option. You got to let me know. Booker T or Renee Young? Which one would you choose? If you had to choose one, Booker T or Renee Young, which one would you choose? It looks like Booker T is getting the popular vote right now. Booker T, I see Booker. Okay. Jurace. Okay, says Booker T. Tyler says Renee. Okay, I think everybody except for Tyler right now says Renee Young. Like an overwhelming Booker T vote right now. So that's that's the vote right now. Is the Booker man. And that's my vote too. I agree. I would choose Booker T over Renee Young too. Because as much as I'm all for Renee Young, I mean she's been a commentator before too. She commentated NXT, and then she also commentated. She was a commentator at I think main event for a couple of years. So she's got some experience. So for the record, I asked an amazing Ask Chris question on Saturday, Chris, but I understand the game. Yes, that's I was hosting the podcast. It was a different deal on Saturdays. When this is my podcast. This is the Pancakes and Power Slam Show podcast. Chris Featherstone. Booker, how bad is Bree wrestling getting worse by them? Oh, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Bree's wrestling woes. But yeah. I was the host of the show. I had a good time hosting the show on Saturday. The special UFC / Super Showdown version of it. But yeah, the Pancakes and Power Slam show. Ex Urus. Okay, X your race. Okay, X Urus. There we go. Started as a pro wrestling backyard tag team with the best friend Edwin, aka. Okay, Cool. Thank you for that explanation. D'Lo Brown music starts. Awesome. Oh, awesome, Wild Boy. Awesome. Thank God for that one. Mom is 100% better than ever. That is fantastic news. Fantastic news. That is awesome to hear. That made my night. That's awesome. All right. Let's have some fun. We have some fun every single time. And Vince Russo will be calling in. I don't know. That's I got a question. Why don't you show your subscribers your? That's because this isn't my channel. this is Wrestling Inc.'s channel. I am happy, very happy to be a part of the Wrestling Inc. team. Interesting story with Wrestling Inc. and myself. For those who don't know, I've been a journalist for quite some time. And I started my relationship with awesome. Thanks, y'all. Been like family. That's fantastic, man. That is really, really, really cool. All right, so 2012 is when I started my relationship with Wrestling Inc. So 6 years ago is when I started writing for Wrestling Inc. Been in and out for the past 6 years. I also on the bad Vince Russo, the good or the bad Vince. We'll see. He'll be calling in here soon. He's finishing up his podcast, so he'll be calling in in a little while. And so it'll be a little later in the show, probably midway through. So we're going to tackle some Ask Chris questions. We're going to have some Super Showdown thoughts and also Raw and SmackDown thoughts. Bobby Lashley turned heel. Also watched King of Pro Wrestling. Who else watched King of Pro Wrestling? You watch the Wrestling podcast about every week. That's awesome. We appreciate your support. Oh yeah, yes. Let me finish my story. So yeah, on and off, I've written for Sports Illustrated. I was at Sports Illustrated for a while, freelancing. Still do some freelance stuff there. Haven't freelanced there in a while, but I have a very good relationship with Sports Illustrated. I freelance for Fox Sports, and Fox Sports doesn't have a specific U.S. WWE wing. They do in other, like the Philippines and other countries, but for some reason they decided to drop the WWE portion of Fox Sports. And I was a feature columnist at Bleacher Report for over 3 years, almost 3.5 years. I still freelance for Digital Spy. And that's one of the biggest publishers, media sites in the UK. Awesome people there. So yeah, I've been around a lot as far as my writing as a journalist is concerned. So yeah, and I really enjoy writing for Wrestling Inc. And I'm doing some other journalistic, really big stuff. And just follow me at Chris Prolific, and you'll be able to see where I'm writing and what I'm writing. But yeah, so I'm, Raj is a great supporter. Thank you. You're a legend in the game, Chris. I appreciate it. I cannot disclose SI pay online. OG Chris, hashtag OG Chris. Thank you very much. Yeah, so Raj and I, we talked. He appreciated the success of Pancakes and Powerslams show as a standalone. I've been doing this for 6.5 years. This is the 341st episode. I started as a completely independent podcast in April of 2012. Had no relationships with anybody as far as starting it. I just started it. And for the past 6.5 years, I have a lot of really good relationships with wrestlers, a whole lot. Yeah, so we talked, and Was asked if I was interested in making the Pancakes and Powerslams show a part of the Wrestling Inc. YouTube family, and I said absolutely, absolutely, because Wrestling Inc. has some awesome shows on their YouTube page and has one of the best weekly podcasts. I have an honor every to be a guest on the Raw podcast every now and then, and I've been a guest on the SmackDown podcast as well, and I had a really good time every time I do that. I've been doing my time is ridiculous, and so I haven't been able to frequent the podcast as much as I used to. I'm actually about to become a doctor. I've been working on my dissertation, and so I spend a whole lot of my time. I'm also a mental health specialist. That's what I do outside of journalism. So yeah, crazy schedule, crazy busy, and so that's why I spend most of my time. But at the same time, I'm a night owl, so yes, I did jump tube. I've broken the business as a jobber. I agree. Now I've had some championship titles underneath my belt based on the interaction that I've had with some good people. So I really appreciate it. So, yeah. So I've had I've had some opportunities to be a part of the later night podcast, like the UFC podcast with Punk, the Super Showdown podcast, the All In podcast. So like the later night podcast, weekend podcast, I've been asked to be a part of those, and I've had a really good time. I've enjoyed myself tremendously. So yeah. So this is what we're going to do before we get into the headlines. Well, what's next, Chris? You going to run for president in 2020? Will you vote for me, Wild Boy? Will you vote for me? Well, this is the best to be on, man. Stuff like I'm always humbled at stuff like that. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. All right, so yeah, so X saying the King of Pro Wrestling was good. You thought Jay Wright should have won? No, I think it was pretty. The writing was on the wall that Tanahashi was going to win. They're going to do him and Omega, so I was cool with it. Tanahashi's been kind of sitting in the wings for a few years now. Kazuchika Okada is my favorite wrestler in New Japan, and in my top 5 favorite wrestlers going on right now for the past few years, actually. And so, it's kind of weird to not have Okada in the title hunt this year. Well, he was until Dominion, so it's only been like 4 months, but it seemed like forever because he's been. I think he was. This will be his first time in 7 years, if I'm not mistaken, that he hasn't been a part of the main event at Wrestle Kingdom. So, yeah. He's like the Sting of New Japan is Tanahashi. You know what's so funny? I compare Tanahashi to John Cena. Now Sting is the GOAT to me. So yeah. But I compare Tanahashi to John Cena. Go Ace. Go Ace. So he's the ace of New Japan, and John Cena, as much as I'm not I wasn't a John Cena fan for about 15 years. Now I'm indifferent towards John Cena. I got respect for John Cena. He's been in the business for 16 years, and he's paid his dues. So I respect the guy now. Lexi, okay. Lexi's asking, considering that WWE has consistently pushed the message that revenue matters over audiences retention, what do you think it will take for the brand to return to being more consumer centric? Fantastic question. Yeah, so I couldn't answer that on the Super Showdown podcast because I guess that generated the whole story about the Pancakes Powerslam show. So I still have total independent rights of the Pancakes and Powerslam show. So I get to do whatever I want with it. And I've chosen to, a few years back it was very listener centric, very interactive, and then I started to change some formatting a little bit. I was like, you know what, man, I miss being listener centric and very interactive. And I really enjoy it. This is really one of my favorite nights of the week. I look so much forward to the Pancakes and Powerslams show because you all are so awesome. And you ask awesome questions. You know your trivia, and you make the show like super incredibly fun. Um, so as far as being more customer centric or consumer centric, um, I you know I think more riveting storylines, more honestly, and this is probably um this is probably something that the WWE wouldn't favor, but more clear cut faces and clear cut heels. Seriously, I mean that's my answer to that. Like seriously, more clear cut faces, more clear cut heels. I say, our fans are fans, and you can't tell a fan what to do, who to root for. But I think one of the worst elements of pro wrestling these days, and what separates pro wrestling from the days of old, the exciting moments, is there are not clear cut faces and clear cut heels. Now, you can argue that with Austin, but at the same time, Austin was 100% babyface. He was a different type of babyface. He was an anti-hero babyface. He was an anti-authority babyface. However, he was a clear-cut babyface. He wrestled bad guys. And the 50-50 stuff, making both people look good in a feud is terrible. It's a huge detriment. I remember when Asuka came up to the main roster, and one of her biggest feuds, one of her primary feuds, was Emma. Now, I got all the respect in the world for Emma. I think she's great. I always thought that they could have used her a little bit better. I know her heel turn in NXT, and when she was kind of collabing with Dana Brooke and the whole All About Me thing, that became over, but it wasn't strong enough to make her look good when you're trying to push Asuka, who's invincible at the time. And so when you try to make people look at, both people look good, that would be the same as like when Goldberg went on his big, tirade and a huge winning streak, 190 something, I think 193, 173 wins or something like that. That would be the same as like saying you had to make Mongo McMichael look good in the match. You had to make, the Reese from the Flock, look good in the match. You had to, of course there would be some people that would go a little longer, like a Perry Saturn or a Raven, of course the infamous match with Steven Regal or William Regal, Steven Regal at the time. But for the most part, he ran roughshod through 95% of the people who he went against, so that's what made him look good. And Baron Corbin, even, when he got over because he was beating people in NXT in 20 seconds. So you have to be clear of, in this angle, who is going to be the person that's over. And if you have a clear-cut heel, that person is supposed to generate enough heat to make the baby face look good. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it when it comes to that. Ask Chris, what is your current top 5? Okay, great question. Okay, number 5 is because Nakamura was in my top 5 for a while, for like the past couple of years, but I don't think he's in my top 5 anymore. So that's I think I'm unveiling a new top 5. I would say number 5 would be, this person's been in the top 10, but I think that see, Jericho is like above and beyond the top 5 because he's like my favorite in the past. He's my 4th all time out of the top 5, and he's been my favorite, wrestler in the past 15, 20, 15 years, probably close to 20 years. It's been like Sting, and then like Sting is the GOAT to me, the greatest of all time. But Jericho to me for the past 20 years almost has been like my number 1. He's back now, so do I put him in my top 5? I guess I do, but I won't put him as number 1 though. So okay, so this is what we'll do. I'll do 5 goes to the New Day, 4 goes to Jericho, 3 goes to I don't know. Who is my number 3? Okay, yeah. Okay, I got it. All right, here we go. You ready? 5 goes to New Day, 4 goes to Jericho, 3 goes to Kazuchika Okada, 2 goes to Roman Reigns, and 1 goes to Jay Lethal. There we go. There's my top 5. What other Ask Chris questions before? Hey man, listen, GHP, I appreciate it. Low key pans and slams taking over as the number 1 show on Wink. I still enjoy them all. I appreciate that, man. Very, very much. That's very humbling. Lexi again asking all the awesome questions. I thought I saw another Lexi question. All right. Shield already breaking up. Yeah, I don't know, man. This Shield run has been quite odd. It's just been off. I haven't been a fan of it. Okay, here it is. All right, there's the other next Lexi question. Within the next 3 to 5 years, what wrestling promotion do you see becoming the next realistic rival, or even surpassing WWE in content and somewhat popularity? Better yet, who could help? I think the merge between Ring of Honor and New Japan's doing that right now. I mean, of course, I don't think no one's going to ever surpass WWE. I don't ever see that happening because WWE is such a worldwide national conglomerate that's just amazing as far as just business. It's the really amazing business. But I think as far as a competition is concerned, I think the merge between Ring of Honor, or not merge, or just I would say the partnership between Ring of Honor and New Japan, for sure, absolutely. All right, Rob is asking, do you think New Japan is intimidated by WWE's purchasing power, especially with talent, and for that reason does not want to try and compete in America? Good question. Good question. Or do you think they'll push hard in the U.S.? I think that they will push hard in the U.S. Yeah, I think they will. I think that they realize that it is a really booming market right now. Just in the pro wrestling business, especially with the success of All In, for sure. So I think as a standalone brand, I don't think that they really have that much interest. I don't think that New Japan should gear to have like sellout shows, 10, 12,000 people as a standalone brand in the States. Now they have the Strong Style Evolve, the Fighting Spirit Unleashed. So they've had they've had the shows here in the States. They need to get out that California market though. I don't think they should stay in the California market. They should go Midwest. They should go New York. They should go Chicago. They should really reach those markets because I don't. Maybe because it's because Japanese time is far out. I don't know why they're doing they're going right to the California market. I'm not quite sure about that, but I think they should move over to the Midwest, the Chicago's, and then the East Coast, the New Yorks, the Boston's, things like that. So I'm in Ohio. I'm considered Midwest. I think Ohio would be a good market. I definitely think Ohio would be a good market for New Japan because Ohio's a pretty good market for ROH. So all right. So let's get to what's your thoughts? Okay, Conor McGregor, UFC 29. He got choked out by Khabib, and all the craziness, all the commotion that happened afterwards. I talked about this on the Saturday podcast that I helped host, and so there's not too much to say more about it other than what was caught on the Saturday podcast. Check that out. Check the Saturday podcast out. Okay. Ask Chris, January 1st, 2009, who was holding the WWE Championship? Good question. So that's less than 3 months from now. Joe's out of the picture, it looks like. I see him and Daniel Bryan kind of being a one-off for now. Looks like the Miz is still involved. Shelton Benjamin. No, no, he's not. Although, it'd be cool achievement. He's a heck of a worker, but I don't think he'd ever win the title. But I think the safe bet's AJ. Really, honestly, I think the safe bet's AJ. I think they're still going to do it. All right, so yeah, I think that I can see Conor and Khabib being having another match. Although I've heard that people have said that they don't see another match coming. I don't see another fight coming between Khabib and Conor. But I think Dana White, he's he's a total money guy for sure. Yeah, I think they're going to have AJ eclipse CM Punk. I think they're going to do that. Although they had Lesnar do it, but I think that just the pettiness of WCW, the pettiness of WWE is they want they want to eclipse with both champions. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, honestly, we'll see about Conor McGregor. I can see a rematch just because Dana White. I can see Dana White just wanting that money grab. I think the second fight, a rematch between Khabib and Conor, I think that would draw more money than this one. Yeah, for sure, definitely. I think so at least. And so, yeah, it's all as Vince McMahon would say, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. So and that goes with UFC as well. So I can definitely see a rematch. I recap Super Showdown. Just some thoughts about Super Showdown. I thought, like I said before, I thought it was a big glorified house show. I have no idea why this was revolved around Triple H getting over. I don't get it. I don't know. The guy will be 50 years old next summer, and I have no idea. It just goes to show that there's nobody who stands the test of being a big enough star in the WWE right now that would be able to market internationally. Simple as that. Yes, same result exactly. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. The build up was okay. People marked out when Undertaker made the surprise appearance here in Columbus during Labor Day weekend, or the Monday of Labor Day, actually. So I don't know. It's I just I'm just not interested. Honestly, I'm just the build up to Taker and Triple H was okay. It had an old school type of feel to it. It goes to show that they can do it. They can make the builds if they're interested. But honestly, man, it's just one of those things that there's no. It just goes to show that there's no star right now that transcends the company in the WWE, and I would say that that's to the fault of the creative department. I think there's candidates. I think there's people who can do it, but at the same time, creative is just doing a lousy job at really spending time to push their talent. So that's unfortunate. What we got? Ask Chris. Rob is asking, do you think Triple H is getting the wrestling out of his system because Vince is on his way? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a fair point. I do. I think there's a fair point. He'll be 50 years old next summer. He probably has one or two. He does the WrestleMania thing every year. He said he's I've listened to the conference calls with him and other interviews that he's been a part of. He said that his time it's obvious that his time in the WWE as an in-ring competitor is reaching its end, reaching its close. So he looks forward to WrestleMania every year because he likes the elaborate entrances, he likes the glitz and glamour, he likes the spectacle of it, which makes sense. I would too. But the greatest Royal Rumble and the Super Showdown and things like that, I think, I think that's a fair point to say that Triple H at this point in his career is like, okay, let me get it out because I'm getting more responsibility. He basically runs NXT in the creative in the talent department. So what's going on? Thank you for joining in. Vince Russo will be calling in soon. He told me that he is finishing up his podcast. So about 15 or 20 minutes or so. Vince Russo, or maybe sooner if he's finished sooner, he'll be calling in and be joining us for all of your questions. Until then, let's answer some more questions. How possible is it that we can get AJ versus Kenny Omega at WrestleMania next year? It was teased on Being the Elite. Not very possible, honestly. I don't think that they'll push Kenny Omega to the moon. If he does, their contracts are up the beginning of the year, and I don't think that they'll push Kenny Omega to the moon. I don't. Could he get a world title push, or could he get a world title type of opportunity? Perhaps, but I don't see that quick. I don't see 3 months after he came. So Taylor's asking, are you thrilled about HBK coming out of retirement? I'm not, actually. I'm not. Especially the bald head is what takes me out of it, honestly. The bald head Shawn, hashtag Baldy Shawn, takes me out of it because I think that was so much of his character that honestly, bald head Shawn, what's going on, Jerry? Bald head Shawn doesn't really just keeps me interested. So I'm not really excited about that. Gruss is asking, would it be a good idea to make a new stable with Lio Rush, Lashley, and AOP? I'm not a big fan of mid-card stables right now. Now there could be, before if I think mid-card stables work if they have a purpose, if they serve a purpose, if they're getting over. But WWE has done a lousy job with really making stables matter and consistency, because even now you're having the Dogs of War have animosity between each other, and they've only been a stable for a few weeks. So WWE's microwave booking, I don't think that stables really work. Now, a heel stable, I mean, you have the Undisputed Era. You know, I mean, in NXT, they work. They're super over. So I just don't think this main roster stable. I don't see much coming out of it. Taylor's asking, what are you hearing about WWE Hall of Fame this year? Any rumors? Any predictions? That's a good question. I heard Bam Bam Bigelow is going to be a part of it. Because he's from New Jersey, and Mania is going to be in New Jersey. The Hall of Fame is going to be in New York, but Hall of Fame is going to be Mania is going to be in East Rutherford MetLife Stadium. So I heard Bam Bam. I haven't heard anything else. Rob is asking, who do you think we sadly see gone from WWE 2019, or do you think they will continue to hold off the purge? Now, I think that they'll hold off for the most part because it is certainly letting go. Being released from the WWE is not like a catastrophe anymore. Like there's so many good indie shows, there's so many lucrative indie shows that people can go to and make some good money leaving WWE. Now, would it be WWE money? Most likely no. I mean, there's very few exceptions that who can do that. Someone like a Cody Rhodes. Really, that's there hasn't been. I mean, Ryback is, he's done well for himself from a business standpoint, but not a wrestling standpoint. Jack Swagger, I've had him on the show before. Nice guy, but he hasn't really made too much of noise. I mean, he's in MLW now, which is a good promotion. But he hasn't really became a big star. So yeah, but you can still, you can still make a good living by leaving WWE. So I think the spring cleaning, you usually have the yearly spring cleaning. You don't really get that anymore with WWE, as much, at least. Was right to censor the most underrated mid-card stable. I don't think they were underrated. I think that they were pretty. I think that they're pretty, pretty popular. The most underrated mid-card stable. What are some mid-card stables? I guess you can say the Nation was, because they weren't really headlined by a champion. The Rock was he went corporate when he was champ, and then Farouk, he was in, he was feuding with the Undertaker and some world title pictures, but he was never world champ. Yeah, probably the Nation. League of Nations, no. That was not good. Yes, Mike Kanellis did debut in 205 Live. Yep, he sure did. He attacked Lindsay Dorado and Leo Rush, which to me is weird because Leo Rush is this, had the heel turn, and he was a big heel in 205 Live. Why would you attack both of them? It doesn't make sense to me. But I do like the fact that they're actually doing some with Mike Kanellis, who looks super lean now and incredibly fit. What a difference a year makes. He's transformed great now. Yeah, I don't think. I think League of Nations. It was an interesting concept, but they didn't do too well with them. So, what am I looking forward to the most in SmackDown 1000? Jerry asks. I like the Evolution reunion. I think that's going to be fun to see. I don't think they're going to do anything with it, but I think that'll be fun. The Job Squad were underrated. I agree. I think the Job Squad's up there for sure. Yeah. So Undertaker, I don't know why he would. I mean, I definitely understand because he was one of the pillars of SmackDown for a long time. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't see them expanding any other feud with anyone else. You know, it looks like they're going to do I hope that I'm not really interested in them taking the DX feud and bringing it to the SmackDown 1000 because Triple H is already going to be a member of Evolution for SmackDown 1000. So I don't think that would be a good idea to have Triple H be a member of DX and also a member of Evolution on the same night. So I wouldn't be a big fan of that. Let's talk a little bit about King of Pro Wrestling. So Tanahashi keeps the case. Kenny Omega pins Kota Ibushi, which was surprising to me because it seems like they were trying to keep the Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega match a separate thing. I think it wouldn't have hurt if Cody would have took the fall, honestly. Actually surprised me that Kenny Omega pinned Kota Ibushi. So Tanahashi comes out at the end and has some friendly competitive words with Kenny Omega. What else are some good parts of it? Jay White joining the Bullet Club OGs. I don't think that was a good call. I think him and Gato alone is great. Him breaking away from Chaos, who he reluctantly joined. You know, in the beginning, he always said that he basically had a mission. He had in his head that you know he's gonna, with him and Okada, he's gonna have it. He's gonna backstab Okada, which he did. So him going to the Bullet Club OGs and how they did it was weird too, because at the end of the match, Okada makes a save with Tanahashi because Tanahashi gets attacked, and then and then Okada makes a save, and then the Bullet Club OGs come in and they hold Gato and Jay White, and Okada. It seemed like they wanted to recruit Okada, so Okada is about to. So he goes on the ropes and whips himself on the ropes, and then he gets cutter from Tama Tonga. So it's like, it's just weird to me. Why would they do that? You're trying to make Jay White one of the biggest heels of New Japan. Why would you have him join a group where the point is? I mean, I don't know if he's officially joined, but it seems like he's a part of it now. I don't think that was a good idea. I just don't think that was a good idea. The Jericho attack was fantastic. The way that they did it, Jericho. I mean, like, you could just really tell that Jericho really spends so much time thinking about, his appearances, which I appreciate the heck out of. I appreciate that 100%. And I think that's fantastic branding, to be honest. It makes sense. I'm gonna attack Evil as he goes up on the ring ropes, and yeah, it's really cool. I think that was a really good. I think that was a really good way to bring Jericho, and so it looks like the November show, it'll be him and Evil for the Intercontinental Championship, which people didn't think. I said that in Dominion. I said that was going to happen at Dominion. People were like, no, I don't. People were saying, oh, Evil's just going. He just came to make the save. I said, nope. I can see Jericho and Naito at Wrestle Kingdom, and Evil's going to be the placeholder. He's going to be the buffer between the two, and this is exactly what happens. They're going against each other next month. All right, let's address some of these Ask Chris questions before Vince Russo calls in here. Can you see Taker going for a world title before he retires? It seemed like he was supposed to this year, actually, because there were some rumors that he was actually supposed to win the Rumble and go against AJ Styles at Mania, but they decided to do Cena. Or no, not this year, 2017. They did Roman Reigns instead. So, no, I don't. I see him and Michaels at Mania, perhaps, but that's really about it with Taker. I don't see. I hope not. I hope not. Honestly, I hope not. Will Cody hold all the gold? No, I don't. I don't see it. He shouldn't. Why? You know, NWA champion, US IWGP US champion. I think that's good enough. Did the Bullet Club factions remind you of the NWO split? Yeah, NWO Black and White and NWO Hollywood. I don't like it. I don't like it. Honestly, I don't like it. I don't like the OGs versus the elite and the Bullet Club elite, and yeah, I think it does have that NWO feel to it. Like, just when they start doing the split, it was just curtains. Let's see if there's do you think that the most wasted WWE superstar in the past, ask Chris, who do you think is the most wasted WWE superstar in the past 10, 15 years for you as Chris Masters? Yeah. I think Chris Masters is a good choice. Most wasted, I would say right now, Apollo Crews of the past. Chris Masters. I think that's a really good choice because they pushed him quite a bit in the beginning, and they didn't. I think that's up there as far as the top choice, as far as who they wasted. I can't think of anybody else who they've. I think they wasted Ryback to an extent. To be honest with you, it seemed like they were going to give him as controversial as he is. It seemed like they were going to give him a world title picture, and they gave him the Intercontinental title. But even during his heel run, when he was feuding against Kalisto, it just makes no sense to me at all. Bray Wyatt's up there too, although he was world champ though. So was Dolph Ziggler. But they, I don't know. It seemed like they're going to make Ryback U.S. champ when he was feuding against Kalisto when he was a heel. It just makes no sense at all to me that he would lose multiple matches against Kalisto. That's just weird. Ex Chris, what is your opinion on I guess you're saying Vince Russo's legacy? Controversial, man. Very controversial, but he's making a living based on the controversy he created. And as Eric Bischoff would say, controversy creates cash. And yeah. Some good questions. Random, do you think the black beard on Hollywood Hogan was a spray on? I do. I do. I think it was. I think he grew a beard, but he probably sprayed some dye to put some volume on it. The NWOB team has the best theme ever. You know what? I think I have that. I think I have the NWOB team theme song. I think so. Ladies and gentlemen, I think he's with us. Let's get this set up. I think he'll be ready for you all. I apologize that I didn't address all the Ask Chris questions, but I think you all want to ask Vince Russo some questions. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Vince Russo. Vince Russo is on the show live. How are you tonight, sir? Vince, are you there? Don't hear you, Vince. I hear you. I see you that you're in the queue, but we don't hear you. Oh, there you go. We can. Absolutely. Can you guys hear Vince? Let's see. Well, I'm checking now. See the chat room. Can you guys hear Vince Russo live? Okay, looks like. Yep, I think you're good, Vince. You're good.
Yeah, bro. I was saying that there was probably positively no way, absolutely not. You guys did not think I was going to call it this.
I think the chat room is very confident that you were going to call in tonight.
I literally, guys, seriously, I was doing my wrap up show with Bin Hamid, and Stevie Richards, whose birthday it is today, and
happy birthday.
I looked at the clock, and it was 11:58, and I'm like, I got to get off this thing. So here I am.
Man, we appreciate your dedication, Vince. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys working with me because Tuesday is a long night. I watch the show, and then I do a SmackDown Raw review. So yeah, I'm usually not done till this time.
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right, fans, what you got? Hashtag Ask Vince. We do on my show a lot. We do Ask Chris, and I do Q&A all the time with the live fans. There's a lot of people on the chat room right now. We're getting questions already, so let's start right into it.
I'm sorry. Can I just say real quick because I want to make sure I don't forget this. Listen, guys, I will ask any questions you want to ask me. I always say that. I don't run away from anything. I have a Twitch channel, Vince Russo Live, where I literally do live Skyping every week. Anybody can call in. But I also want to let you guys know I just started a show on Westwood One, and it's called Truth with Consequences. It drops midnight on Saturdays. We just did our first show, and I'd love you guys to check out that show and support me. It would really help me out. But yeah, bro, positive, negative, anything you want to ask me, that's what I'm here for.
All right, so we're getting flooded with questions, so let's dive right into it. All right, so Wild Boy's asking, would you put yourself on the Mount Rushmore of creative writers?
Oh, well, on creative, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, I would. And the reason why I say that, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not saying that out of cockiness. I'm really not. I'm saying that out of knowing how hard I work and knowing how, I put every ounce of effort I had into any show I wrote. I agonized over the shows, bro. I lost sleep over the shows. Every show I wrote, I wanted to be the absolute best show I was capable of writing. So I would say not that I was a creative genius or anything like that, but I'll be honest, bro. I don't think any writer in the history of wrestling had my work ethic. I think I can safely say that.
All right. All right, so we got THP asking, what would your dream storyline be to write with the current WWE roster?
What would my what storyline be?
Your dream storyline.
Bro, I wish I could write for Roman Reigns. I really do. Bro, I'm not saying that because I want a job with the WWE. That's honestly, that's the last thing I would want at this point in my life. I wish I had Roman Reigns, bro. Roman Reigns would, no question in my mind, be at Steve Austin's status if I were writing.
I like it.
And no question in my mind. And you know what, bro? Maybe purposely the WWE, tries to keep him down because, Triple H has said, I did an interview with Ryback, and, Ryback has said that Triple H has told him they don't want any big stars anymore. They don't want anybody that's perceived bigger than the company.
Yep, I heard about that.
So maybe they're purposely like keeping a thumb on Reigns. But my God, bro, if I wrote for that guy and had creative freedom, the guy would be a monster.
There's it's so funny because I remember probably late last year or early this year, I think it was right before Mania, you and I were exchanging emails. There was some type of like short clip, like a minute and a half or 2 minutes video that was made of why people didn't like Roman Reigns. And it was just the corniest, most ridiculous reasons that he couldn't wrestle, and it was just, he wins too much, and all those things were just like, man, he draws people, he draws merchandise, he draws crowds, love him or hate him. He just he causes a reaction, and that's what WWE is looking for. And I think if you actually steer him in the right direction as far as how things making sense of his character, I agree. I think he could. I think he has the opportunity to transcend the business. Absolutely. I think that's a good one.
I think all the tools are there. I mean, the bloodline is there. But man, he doesn't write the show, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Who was behind GTV in the Attitude Era? Gress is asking.
That was supposed to be at the time, guys. I don't know. I don't know if a lot of your listeners remember this, but on MTV, Tom Green had just started his show, and I was a huge Tom Green mark. Tom Green was really, really hot. We had a relationship with MTV. Tom Green was before those Jackass guys, bro. He really paved the way, the way for Jackass. I wanted to put Tom Green in that spot, and I knew we could get him because we had a relationship with MTV.
Mm-hmm.
So I started telling the story, and I was planting the seeds. But unfortunately, when I finally told Vince what I wanted to do, Vince had no idea who Tom Green was.
Oh, really? So it is dropped. Was there any after the Tom Green, because it was such a mystery for so long? Was Goldust ever considered of being a substitute?
I think that's what we did. What I remember, I think that's what we did
Mm-hmm.
because it was the only other G.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's what we wound up eventually doing.
Mm-hmm.
But originally, and like I said, I mean, to understand that, you got to really know how white hot Tom Green was at the time. And I mean, I think it would have been entertaining as hell.
Let's see. Rob, who do you think is being criminally underused in WWE right now?
Who is it?
Good question.
I mean, oh my God, bro. I mean, Bray Wyatt should be Undertaker status. Bray Wyatt should have been Undertaker status a long time ago. Jinder Mahal, they had the highest they could get him.
Mm-hmm.
And, now he's tagging with Alicia Fox. So
Yeah.
They had Rusev one match away from being a main eventer as a heel, one match away from being a main eventer as a babyface,
mm-hmm.
and they killed him twice.
Yep.
There are so many. I mean, Bobby Roode. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. There are so many underutilized people on that roster.
Yeah, I agree. Taylor, are you most proud of WWE or WCW time? Your WWE or WCW time?
That's a good question. I mean, the word of the use, proud. I mean, I'm proud of WCW that I mean, I lasted through it. I'm proud that I made it through. But from a work point of view, definitely WWE. I was the most successful in WWE because nobody gave me the freedom that Vince McMahon gave me.
Mm-hmm.
And Vince had faith in me, and Vince trusted me, and I had to earn that. I mean, I had to get the numbers first. But once we started getting the numbers, I mean, I basically had the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. So that was probably what I'm most proud of because, I mean, I think that was the best representation of my work.
Certainly. Jerry, what would you have done with broken Matt Hardy's character when he came back? Good question.
I would have done exactly what they were doing in TNA. I mean, I'm good friends with Jeremy Borash, and I know a lot of that was a collaboration between Jeremy and Matt, and even Jeff to some extent. And some of the stuff they did in TNA was brilliant. But, bro, I'm telling you, because I know Vince, and I just told you 5 minutes ago, Vince didn't know who Tom Green was. You know, I was doing a parody of the Blair Witch Project. When the Blair Witch Project first came out, it was on fire, and we did a great parody with Stevie Richards and the Blue Meanie. Vince killed that because he never heard of the Blair Witch Project. There were so many instances like that with Vince. I guarantee you, when JB went over to the WWE and then Matt Hardy, and they were starting to pitch some of that stuff,
yeah,
I can guarantee you Vince didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. It was so over Vince's head that anything they wanted to do, you know, got watered down. And I'll be honest with you, man, I think that's part of the reason, too, why Matt Hardy walked away. Now, his body was beaten. There's no doubt about that. But from a creative standpoint, if they would have been allowed to do what they wanted to do, he would not have had to work that much.
True.
He would have probably been around longer. But I guarantee you, like, Vince did not understand any of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Let's see. Lexi is asking, well, happy birthday to Stevie Richards, right?
Yep.
Okay, so happy birthday, and thank you for your time, is what she's saying. What is the one storyline that Vince never let you produce that you honestly feel would have taken WWE to the next level? Lexi's one of our best question askers.
I'll tell you what it was when I went back in 2002, and me and Vince had a meeting alone. Nobody knew we were meeting. Stephanie didn't even know we were meeting. I was going to Vince's house. And this is before the WCW invasion. This is before Eric Bischoff was ever working for the company. And, you know, I was the one, despite all my differences with Eric, I was the one in 2002 that I told Vince, bro, you got to hire Eric. You have to hire him. No, him and I do not get along, but it doesn't matter. The guy's a great performer. I laid out a storyline basically between Eric and Vince and Shane and power of the company and Eric's relationship with Vince. I laid out a beautiful story, but I wound up not going back, and Vince did wind up bringing Eric in, and then they did wind up doing like a WCW invasion angle that I think everybody will agree was not their best work.
Yeah.
I thought I laid out a hell of a story between Shane, Vince, and Eric, and it never saw the light of day.
Yeah. Would Lance Storm have been a world champ in WCW if all the mess didn't go down?
He could have been, bro. I mean, he was on that kind of a role. I think we put him in a good position. I think, you know, the writing behind him was really well done. I think he very well could have been.
Mm-hmm. If you had to bring in one indie wrestler to make the WWE product better, who would it be and why?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, bro, that's so hard to say because there are people I like, but I don't have the confidence in the WWE at all that they would do that person right. Like the one person that comes to mind that I think really has a incredible look, and I don't watch NXT. Pretty much I don't watch it at all. I've only seen it a couple of times, but I love that one look. I love the look and the believability of that Ciampa guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then I look at Bray Wyatt, and I'm like, guys, if you can't get a Bray Wyatt over, like who can you get over?
True.
But when I watched NXT and I saw that Ciampa guy, I really, really liked his look, and he was very, very believable to me.
Yeah, I would argue that Ciampa's probably the best heel in WWE right now because he just has, as you would say, nuclear heat, bro. He has nuclear heat, Vince.
Yeah, nuclear heat, but again, once that writing structure got a hold of him, I mean, who knows? I just have no faith, like, in their writing. Like, I mean, I've been watching the shows now straight for like 5 years, like every show, and I just have no confidence in them at all.
Sadly, because we saw that with record low ratings on Raw after 25 years. You got your it's the best it's ever been financially, but ratings wise is at its lowest. I find that quite odd. Yeah. Let's see a few more, because we've got about 20 minutes with Vince, so we got a few more questions quickly. Let's see. Would you ever consider, Ryan's asking, would you ever consider coming back to work for WWE as a writer?
Nah, there's no way. It's such a different time, and so much has changed. I would never fit in that structure. It would never work. I mean, first of all, I mean, that time has passed by. I mean, I'm 57 years old now. No way in hell I would be on a plane every week, and I would make, the WWE my number one priority at my age now. But on top of that, I mean, you try to put me in that system, oh my God, bro, it would be absolutely horrible.
Yeah. Who was behind the electrified steel cage match in TNA?
Yeah, bro, you know what? I mean, I've been blamed for that. And, bro, I say this a million times. And honestly, if people believe me or don't believe me, like, I really don't care, because I have no reason to lie about anything. I mean, I probably came up with the worst thing in the history of wrestling, and it was the door kennel from Hell match, which was all me, 1,000%. The worst thing I've probably ever seen. So, like, if I could admit to that and tell you that was me, I will tell you when I did something that went horribly wrong. The electrified cage was not my idea. I just went back to TNA, as a writer, and the first writing meeting I ever went to, Matt Conway was there, and Dutch Mantell and Jeff Jarrett, and they had already booked this electrified cage match, and I'm sitting there, and like, I know the way TNA does things, and I know TNA does not have the money to do things the right way. And while they were going over this electrified cage match, I'm saying to myself, do you guys just not know? Can you not see how just horrible this is going to be? TNA does not have the finances to do this the right way. This is going to be horrible. I did not speak up, and I did not say anything, because it literally was my first day back on the job. So, like, my first day, like, even I didn't want to say, like, guys, are you freaking kidding me? Like, this is going to be horrible.
Yeah.
But, bro, if it were my second day, I may have said that. But, like, it was the first day back, and, like, they already had the thing planned, and they already had the thing booked. And, like I said, I was at the WWE when we did that Inferno match. And when you work for the WWE, they're going to do it right. They're going to spend the money. They're going to bring in the right people. You know what you're going to get. TNA, they nickeled and dimed everything. And I just knew, man, I was like, guys, this is going to be like, this is just going to be atrocious. And like I said, before I went back, it was Jeff Jarrett and Dutch. They were doing the booking. I think there was an electrified cage match in Puerto Rico. I think that's where Dutch got the idea from. But like I said, bro, if it were me, I'd have no problem saying it was me. But that one was not me.
Okay. just to make it clear, guys, it was not a Vince idea. All right, let's ask a few. There's a bunch, but for the sake of time, let's just wind it down here. Um, what would you have done creatively? What would you have done creatively with the first winner of Tough Enough, Maven?
Bro, that's really hard to say because I was not watching that. So like I did not see Maven win Tough Enough. I did not see Maven when he was first in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So like that would really be unfair for me to say because I didn't see any of that.
Okay.
I know Maven,
mm-hmm.
but I did not see any of his work.
Yeah, he wasn't there for long, unfortunately. All right, so anything you would have fixed to make Raw 25 better, and what would you do for SmackDown 1000? What would be your big thing for SmackDown 1000 next week?
Well, John, my big thing is, like, guys, and I think they even did it last night. My God, bro, like, on last night's show, they had HBK, they had Triple H, they had Kurt Angle, they had Lita, they had Trish Stratus. Bro, when you're bringing people like that in, now I'm not sure who they're going to bring into the 1,000. I heard, Batista's coming in and Ray's coming in. Guys, when you're bringing guys like that back, you've got to give some of the current roster some kind of a rub, man. Because, like those guys are coming in for one time or, and then you're not going to see them again. Bro, you've got to use them to give some of these guys who aren't over a rub. So that's how I would write the show, where, of course, you're going to put the legends on a pedestal, of course, but, you've got to somehow or another make them give a rub, to some of the guys that are going to have to freaking carry the ball going forward. I don't think they did any of that on Raw 25.
No, they didn't. They did not. Describe Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, and Jim Cornette in one word each. And this is a PG show, just to let you know, which you already knew that.
Okay, let's see. And you want me to be honest here?
PG honest, yes.
Okay. I would call Vince McMahon a genius.
Okay.
I don't think I'd call him a genius today, but the Vince McMahon I worked with was a genius, an absolute genius. Bro, if you want me to be totally honest, if you want me to sum up Eric Bischoff in one word, I would say prick. Eric Bischoff and I did not get along because I did not like the way he treated people. It's that simple. Him and I were two different people. I like to be the blue collar guy in the trenches, get my hands dirty. Eric likes to be the boss, and Eric likes to have people beneath him, and Eric likes to have people afraid of him. And we were like oil and water because of that. Jim Cornette, I would just, the one word to describe Jim Cornette is stubborn. Jim Cornette blames me for a lot of things when the reality of it is Jim Cornette didn't want to change his ways. And as the world was changing and as television was changing and as wrestling was changing, Jim Cornette did not want to change his ways. And, during the Attitude Era, the wrestling business just kind of passed him by. And, he liked to blame me for that. But, at the end of the day, the guy just really needs to look in the mirror.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Just one last question. I apologize. Thank you for the interaction. I want to respect Vince's time.
Are you guys going to be on for a while or what? Or you cut down?
No. We've got the show's over 1 Eastern time, so we've got another half hour. So,
I'll stay on if you want.
Okay, yeah, I'll address a few more. I appreciate that.
It's up to you. I mean, yeah, you cut me off whenever you want, but I mean, I'm good.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. All right, so let's address this. All right, so GHP, I know you take great pride in your work, but what was your worst WCW pay-per-view? His was the Greed of 2001.
Bro, I'll be honest with you, I can't remember. Bro, a lot of people like it, and this is the God honest truth, and I don't think people really look at it this way. You know, bro, like when I was in the WWE and when I was in WCW, bro, we were writing 116 shows a year. We were writing 2 shows a week and 12 pay-per-views, 116 shows. Guys, when I tell you, like, when we wrote WrestleMania, like, that was just another show to me. It's not like, oh, this is WrestleMania. It was another show to me, bro, and we were looking ahead to the next Monday Night Raw, you know, and the next SmackDown. So, bro, like, I honestly could not remember now. You know, if you walked me through pay-per-view by pay-per-view, I would probably be able to remember. But, like, I honestly, bro, cannot separate one from the next.
It's, I can understand how that could be the case for sure. All right. Do you ever wish that there was any superstar that would have jumped from WWF at the time to WCW and didn't, and why? I guess why is it says NY? So I guess why do you think that? So let me say that again.
Well, bro, not necessarily there.
Okay.
But I will tell you, before Bret Hart made up with Vince, I was very, very, very close to getting Bret in TNA. And
oh, really?
Quite frankly, to be honest with you, Hulk Hogan played the creative control card, and he put the kibosh on that. I would have loved to have Bret in TNA. It was before he mended fences with Vince, before he ever went back to the WWE. I think Bret would have made a huge difference in TNA.
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good thing to kind of branch off just real quickly. Now, at the time that he mended fences with Vince, and that led to their match at WrestleMania, a lot of people kind of felt a lot of sympathy, very sympathetic about that match because Bret wasn't very physically able to really have a match, really, and especially at WrestleMania. Oh, okay. Well, he was GM at Raw at the time. He ended up being Miz.
Yeah. The plan was not to bring Bret back as, you know, wrestler Bret.
Got it.
Put him in the, we were going to put him in that role. That's the role he was going to be in.
Heel or babyface?
Probably a babyface.
Okay. Cool. All right. What is your relationship like with the McMahon family now?
I don't have one.
Zero. No contact. When's the last contact? What?
Yeah, nothing. Zero.
When was the last time there was any contact?
I'll be honest with you, bro. When they started, dragging my name through the mud on their table for threes, and their what do you call it? Revisionist history of what Vince Russo did and didn't do in the WWE, and they went out of their way to bury me. I emailed them, and I said, bro, like, I honestly don't get this. I mean, I started writing for you when your company was in the red, and when I left, bro, you were a publicly traded company on top of the world, and you're going to drag my name through the mud. And I said, I literally want an explanation, Vince, because I don't understand it. Like, what did I do to you? And, Vince McMahon did write me back, and he told me he had no idea of the way they were portraying me on the WWE network. And I said, okay, Vince, yeah, you're going to tell me you don't know everything that's going on in your company.
Yeah.
Did you forget I used to work there, bro?
Yeah.
I know you know everything that goes on. That was really the last dialogue I had with him.
All right, let's do a few more quick ones. Do you think the Montreal screw job was a work?
No, that was a 100% shoot. If anybody wants to know the real details of that, and I'm not promoting my book, bro, because my book came out a long time ago. But my very first book is called Forgiven, and as a matter of fact, I mean, you can go to russosbrand.com. It's on there. Bro, there is a blow-by-blow of everything that happened. I was in the thick of it. I was in the middle of it. I was a witness to a lot of things. If you really, really, really want to know what went on, I mean, honestly, bro, like even if you get my book in the library, it's really, really detailed in that book.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it was. I wish it was a work. I honestly wish it was a work. I wish that stuff never went down the way it did.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So Mark is asking if you had a chance to rewrite a wrestler, who would he choose? Okay, so you've said Bray Wyatt on that one. Who was a better WCW champion, yourself or David Arquette?
Well, actually, bro, I just did an interview with David Arquette, and it wound up in a wrestling.
I think I saw a clip of that.
Yeah, who would be the greatest WCW champion of all time?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, I laid down for David. I let him beat me 1, 2, 3.
Oh man, that's quite nice of you, Vince, putting David over like that.
David's a great guy, though, man. He is. Have you guys ever had the pleasure of talking to him or interviewing him or anything?
I was actually talking to his agent to get him on my show, but he was actually interviewed like this week or last week from one of our staff members at Wrestling Inc. They did an interview with him, I think, within the past week. So yeah.
He's just such a sweetheart of a guy that just loves the business. Yeah,
I mean, he's almost 50 years old, making a comeback, like seriously about wrestling. So I appreciate that. All right, let's do one more question. Okay, I guess two more. Let's do more. All right. Lexi, was there ever a segment or match that you produced that ended someone's career that still weighs on you emotionally? That's a good question.
I know, bro. The only thing that really that comes to mind when Lexi asks that question is when Gaffney got really, really badly hurt at TNA, and I had no idea what they were going to do in that match.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was watching the match, Raven was involved in the match and Abyss. And when I was watching the match on the monitor and I saw her involvement in the match, I knew she was going to badly get hurt. And then, after the match and they came back, I mean, I was absolutely livid, that they put her in a spot to do what she did. She got hurt really, really bad. And I love Daphne. I love her to this day. And I mean, that was the one time that I could really, really remember being upset when somebody really got seriously hurt.
Yeah. Good question from Jerry here. Were there any WWE superstars that had conflict with you because of the stuff that you wrote for them? Mm-hmm.
Zero. Guys, at the WWE, here's what people have to understand. When the Attitude Era, kicked into gear, bro, everybody was making more money than they ever did in their life. And that was the bottom line, bro. The bottom line was the paycheck and how much money they were making because, we were selling out everywhere. And, bro, back then, when the boys are making more money than they ever did and more money than they ever dreamed of, they're not going to question the creative or argue the creative. They're just going to go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it starts going the other way, then maybe they say something. But I was lucky enough to leave the WWE, and kind of go out on top when it was at its pinnacle. So, just because of the money they were making, nobody really had a problem with anything.
All right. Two more. I'm gonna have to stop it there, guys. My apologies. Just two more. All right. Do you believe in creating factions in today's wrestling? And if so, who would you put together?
Bro, I always believe in factions. If you got the right people, factions would work. I would really have to think about it, bro. Like, I would not be able to give you a good faction off the top of my head. I'd really have to sit down and, look at the roster and, pair people up and figure out, who'd be good together. So, like, it wouldn't be fair for me to just answer that off the top of my head. But, yeah, I definitely think factions could still work in 2018.
Yeah. All right, last question. Would you ever accept an invitation into the WWE Hall of Fame?
No.
No, really? Why not?
I don't need. I say this all the time. Everybody knows. I was very, very close friends with Joni. China was one of my best friends. I love China. I miss China, and there's always talk about China in the WWE Hall of Fame, China in the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't need Vince McMahon to vindicate how great China was. Like, Vince McMahon doesn't have to knight her and give her his seal of approval so everybody knows how great China was. The Hall of Fame is one guy's decision and one guy's only, and that's Vince McMahon. I know how great Joni Lauer was because I worked with her. The fans know how great Joni Lauer was because they watched her and they saw her.
Yeah.
You don't need, Vince McMahon's blessing to finally beat somebody. So that's, for everybody that's in there, and it's a big deal for them to be in there. Great. I'm glad you're in there. I'm glad you're proud of it. I'm glad it's important for you. But, like, I don't need Vince McMahon to, knight me and say, oh yeah, Vince Russo was worth something. I think my record speaks for itself. I think the numbers we drew at that time speak for themselves. And it's the Hall of Fame is very, very political. They put in there who they want.
Yeah.
Obviously, there were some people that belong. I think Ivan Koloff. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Ivan Koloff isn't in the Hall of Fame, really? So no, I would not.
Fair point.
But it would never. And let me just clarify: it would never happen anyway. Let me just get that straight. But if it did, but it never would, I would not.
Vince, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for availing your time after a long day and recording a podcast, for being on the show with us for the past 40 minutes. So we really appreciate that. Thank you all for the chat room, the fantastic questions. Please put yourself over, Vince, and letting us know any projects coming up, where to find you on social media. Thank you. What do you got?
Okay, yeah, there are a couple things, guys. I do a show 5 days. I do a podcast 5 days a week on the Realm Network. You can go to russosbrand.com, and I have a different co-host every day. I have Big Vito Lagrasso. I have Ben Hameen, Stevie Richards. I have the Disco Inferno. I have Goldilocks from back in the day at TNA. I do a Castrating the Mark show, and I do that every day of the week. We do it for less than $1 a week, bro. If you want to subscribe, it's less than $1 a week, and you can opt out at any time. It's russosbrand.com. I just started Truth with Consequences on Westwood 1, and the show drops every Saturday night at midnight. You could follow me on Twitter at @VinceRusso, and I am also on Twitch at Vince Russo Live. I go on there all the time, guys, and I talk to you one-on-one. You could ask me anything. You could Skype me anything. I don't get mad. I don't get upset. But that's a good place to communicate with me.
Awesome. Thanks so much for opening your time, Vince, and we really enjoyed ourselves, and hope you did the same.
Yeah, I did too, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Have a good night.
Good night.
Vince Russo. Thank you to Vince Russo. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. Thank you for all of the interaction in the chat room. That was fantastic. Great questions, everybody. Great questions. You all made it what it was. It was so good. Like literally, it was double the time that we had scheduled. We had scheduled for 20 minutes, and it was so good that it was so good that he doubled the time. He asked to stay on longer. So that goes to show how interesting you all are in the chat room, and all the Pancakes and Powerslams fans. You are fantastic. So thank you so much for that. All right, so let's close up. Just what would you give Raw and SmackDown? What would be your grades for Raw and SmackDown? Let's just the big things on Raw is we're getting Shawn Michaels coming back, and I answered that on the Ask Chris question. Thank you, Chris. You did it again. Great night. Appreciate that. There's some other people that tweet me who you would like to come on the show for another Q&A. Please do that for me. We'll do that. Raw 8 out of 10, so that's a B. All right. So Bobby Lashley and the Bellas turn heel. I tweeted that. It seems like Lashley's actually Owens is getting surgery. That was just announced, so he'll be out for a while. So it seems like they needed another heel, and they chose Bobby Lashley to be that heel. I don't see this doing anything. Honestly, I don't see it really going far. He'll just be a heel. Seems like he'll be feuding with Finn Balor. Seems like that's his first feud, but I don't see some world championship. I don't see a Royal Rumble win or anything like that. I just don't. Maybe a mid-card championship. Maybe, maybe feuding with Seth Rollins or something like that. But I can see probably Ambrose and Rollins are going to do something. But I don't know. This is not. I mean, I really like Bobby Lashley. My man, Bobby, my man. As Leo would say. My voice is on the deeper range, and so you all know that I like to impersonate wrestlers, but I don't know if I'll ever get Leo Rush's Bobby Lashley, my man, Bobby Lashley. So that's all I got so far. So of Leo Rush. Introducing my man, Bobby Lashley. That's as much as I can. That's all I got right now. That's my closest impersonation of Leo Rush. That's close enough. Thank you. I appreciate that comment. My man, Bobby Lashley. So yeah, that's all I got. I'll work on it more. Thank you. That's pretty good. Rob says I appreciate that. Leo, Chris, GHP, CJ's laughing. Thank you. All right, so that's sound like a pimp. Yes, yes, indeed. So yeah, I'll keep working on my my Leo. That's what I got so far. I'm glad that it's well received. So scary close is what Lexi says. So yeah. All right, so yeah, I don't see the Bobby Lashley and Bella, and the thing is, Breeze, yes, CJ, only on Pancakes and Powerslams. Only on Pancakes and Powerslams. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Leo Rush style. So yeah, Brie Bella turning doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it was going to be Nikki and Ronda. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. That's for sure. It did nothing for me. So, and yeah, it was good to see Trish back. It was good to see Lita back. Lita's the GOAT for me. She's my all-time favorite women's wrestler. So yeah. So yeah, it was decent. I give Raw probably about like a C plus. SmackDown just C minus. Wasn't too much going on in SmackDown for me, honestly. Yeah, it was just man for me. So we'll see where it goes. All right, I think that is all. Kofi Kingston. Do you? I want to chat about Kofi Kingston right quick. He said he wanted to win all the titles. Get JTG on the show. You know he got story. I've had JTG. JTG writes for. He writes stories for me to post, and I've had JTG on the show probably, I don't know, 5-6 times. he's one of the most. I think Marty Elias is up there. I think like my top 4 or 5 I've had on the most has been Marty Elias. He's been on like 6 times, 5 or 6 times. JTG's up there. He's been on like 5 or 6 times. Sean Devari's been on about 5 or 6 times. Ken Anderson has been on about 5 or 6 times. Those are my top 4. I think I've had. My buddy of mine, Lance Archer. He's been on like 3 times. As far as repeats, I've had Bobby Fulton's a repeat. Christopher Daniels is a repeat. I think I've had Greg Gagne on 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. Greg Gagne is a nice guy. Thinking of more repeats. I've had Matt Sydal on twice. This is the second time I've had Vince Russo on. I've had Eric Bischoff on twice. That's the only repeats I can think. I'm sure there's plenty more, but those are the only repeats I can think of right now. Tom Pritchard, I've had him on twice. He's a repeat. Nick Aldis is a repeat. I've had him on twice. Yeah, that's as much as I can think of right now as far as repeats. I don't know. I still don't know. I still haven't counted the total amount of people I've had on the show. I don't know. If somebody want to do that, that'll be great because I haven't spent the time. I don't know if I would have had a guesstimation, I would say, I don't know, like 115 different wrestlers, like not counting the same wrestler twice, like 115 different wrestlers. I think somewhere around there. So New Jack, Foley. I was working on Foley actually, and I need to get back on that. New Jack, I haven't talked to New Jack, or I haven't even tried. So, all right, that would be interesting though. It's a PG show, so I don't know if New Jack would subscribe to the PG-ness of the Pancakes and Power Slam show. So, yeah. All right. Let's talk about the flavor of the week. Yeah, let's just jump into that real quick before we close tonight. Been a fantastic show. Flavor of the week. Here we go.
It is now time for the flavor of the week.
Okay. So the flavor of the week this week is the your favorite Chris Jericho incarnation. All right, so we were supposed to talk about Kofi Kingston real quick too. Yes, I believe that Kofi Kingston should have had a world championship, and I would be totally fine if he becomes WWE champion before his career is up. Not splitting from the New Day though. I would have it a Freebird rule as WWE champions. I think that would be great. So that would be my take on Kofi Kingston wanting to be WWE champion. So what is your favorite incarnation of Chris Jericho. That's the flavor of the week this week. Just a real quick flavor of the week. He continues to have incarnation after incarnation. Yeah, I agree. He should have won the Money in the Bank. Yeah. Incarnation after incarnation. You know, you have the Ayatollah of Rockarola, 1999, and then you go into the heel one, I think the Save Us was the next one after that, right? Because he left and he came back as just like a heel. No. The Troglodytes and the Sycophants, that was like 07, I think it was, when he was feuding against Shawn Michaels. 2002 with the red tip of his ponytail. Yeah. And then you got the Save Us when he came back and feuded with JBL initially. Well, Randy Orton initially. That's when he came back with the No. Yeah. Save Us was Randy Orton and then JBL, and then he always becomes heel for some reason. Jericho's one of the best ever to me, but it's like those constant flipping of face heel turns, just I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it at all. So so you had the what was that? That was the what was the one after the Save Us? That was the, I don't remember what it was called. Yeah, the end of the end of Apocalypse, the end of the world one, right? The end of the world one with CM Punk. And then you got the Axe Chris's Nia becoming the female Big Show. That's an interesting comparison. Definitely an interesting comparison. Yeah, so then you had the return, the Royal Rumble return, and then the recent one with the list, and then yeah, so the scarf. So those are really the incarnations of Jericho. Now you have, Clockwork Orange Jericho, in New Japan. So, and the ECW Lionheart Gruss is saying that's what got me on Jericho, the Lionheart Chris Jericho, the ECW version, the WCW version, not so much. I mean, I did like him, in WCW, not so much his heel run, but the ECW Lionheart is what got me to like Jericho for sure. All right, so Lexi says the list. Wild Boy Jericho. That was interesting. That was an interesting one. Gruss says first run in WWE. Yeah, it's hard to top that one. Just the first WWE one, the first run in WWE. That's one of my favorites. GHP has worked with Malenko. Brandon's asking, do you think Shawn Michaels should change his theme song? He's Brandon. He is a 53-year-old sexy boy. He's a married with children boy toy. He's not your boy toy actually, but he is a sexy boy. He is 53 years old. He is a sexy dad now. So yeah. Maybe just the instrumental perhaps would work because I don't know, the same music that you had 25 years ago, nearly 25 years ago, probably not the best. My man Shawn Michaels, sexy boy. That's what quickly or rush there. All right, cool, great conversations, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Oh, I didn't ask any trivia questions. How dare I? Let's do some quick trivia questions for the next rapid fire. And this for the next minute. Favorite incarnation of Chris Jericho's is you just made the list. The Y2 Edge. Okay. Thank you for that, Ryan. All right, real quick. What item did Crash Holly frequently carry to the ring? Let's do some quick rapid fire. No trivia questions. How dare I have no trivia questions? Such a busy show tonight. Yep. Wow, boy, good job. Scale. A weight scale. Next. This person won the WWE World Tag Team titles with Billy Gunn in 2002. Who is that? 2002. Yes. Good job. Chuck Palumbo. Chuck Palumbo. All right. Let's ask a few more. Who did Christian defeat to win the light heavyweight championship? Who did Christian defeat to win the light heavyweight championship? Who did Christian? Wild Boy, Rob. Yes. Taka Michinoku, CJ, Ryan. Great job, everybody. A couple more. Chris Jericho has held the IC title 9 times. Which was the last year he was champion? Which was the last year Jericho was Intercontinental Champion? Last year that he was Intercontinental Champion. GHP, there it is. 2009. 2009. He beat Rey Mysterio. All right, last question. Who defeated Chavo Guerrero to become ECW champion? Who defeated Chavo Guerrero to become ECW champion? And as you all get that answer correct, thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. It's been absolutely awesome. The greatest fans in the world. Kane, yes, it's gotta be Kane. It's gotta be Kane. Great job, everybody. All right, it's been a pleasure, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of episode 341. Thank you to the bro, Vince Russo, for the awesome live Q&A. Follow at Chris Prolific, at Crave Wrestling, the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Another one in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless. And always remember, you got it right there. I do it for you. Have a good night, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.